It's been fantastic. Geo Gonzo, you've been brilliant. Good luck with your podcast. Hope it goes from strength to strength. It's fantastic. Good job. Hammer chat all the way, baby.
Hello and welcome to tonight's Cup of Tea. We'll be live in 1 minute talking about Lanzini's contract, Karren Brady's son calling, all the latest West Ham news and gossip with Geo and Gonzo, as well as interacting with the live chat and giving you the questions that were sent to us on Twitter and YouTube previous to tonight. Join us for the next hour as we'll be talking all things West Ham. And we're live. Gonzo, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. We're live. I'm well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's got a bit chilly up here actually in the last few days. Seasons are changing. Summer's in the past a little bit, and it feels quite autumny at the minute up here.
Yeah, it's back this Saturday apparently. Back with a vengeance. Hot, sweltering, ice caps melting, the lot. You know, polar bears bobbing up and down on the. It's all going again on Saturday. You'll be fine. It's really always hot down here. Probably about just -2 in Scotland, but probably hotter than it is currently.
Yeah. Anyway, a few topics tonight, but not loads. There's not loads been happening in the West Ham world. So live chat, we're going to be interacting with you later. We might need you to help us out a little bit. But I've got plenty of questions from people on Twitter and YouTube. But there's a few topics to discuss first, and there's one big topic that people, when I was taking the questions earlier, there's one topic that seemed to be coming up more than any other one, but we'll get onto that in a second. Is there any you'd like to start with first, Gonzo, or just whatever?
No, I don't mind. Lead the dance, as we say, and I'll follow. Quick step.
Well,
tango.
Let's get your quick thoughts on Brighton then, because you did a little video, but myself, Charlie, and Tom dissected the review a bit more. It's sort of had a few days to digest it a little bit. What did you make of the performance?
Yeah, I don't think I got it that wrong in my assessment, actually, because I was sober, and it's not like I sobered up the next day and thought, oh, okay, go easy. I don't think I went too hard. I don't think I was calling for his head, so to speak, and I think obviously a little bit of patience is required, and I did always think that was the first game of the season. That being said, I didn't have a clue what we were doing, and I was as bemused as anybody. I did a little video beforehand when the team sheet came up. I was confused when that happened, and then when an hour later when the team came out to play, I was none the wiser. It was an odd formation, given the players that he was deploying out on the pitch. It was a weird selection of players to put out on the pitch. It's a good job Hernandez scored, because that would have been a baffling selection, to be perfectly honest with you. I was fancying maybe Antonio to start up front. Antonio came off the bench, did really well. Too many similar type players, no pace, no width. We are a slow team. We really are a slow team in attack, and at the moment you take out Anderson, who is very quick. He wasn't part of the team. If he's gone, then you're going to have to play Antonio, because he's our only other very quick player, and he didn't, which made us quite blunt. And Brighton weren't brilliant either, Geo. They had the 3-0 win in their first game, so I don't know what I expected. Maybe I expected Brazil or something like that, but they weren't. And we had plenty of the ball in the first 20 minutes, just couldn't do anything with it. Blunt in attack, a bit shoddy in defence really as well. We got the draw. I'm not sure we deserved it. Well, we definitely didn't deserve it. So what I was worried about, though, coming back and listening to the radio and all the rest of it, and then was Pellegrini was speaking about working out what his best team is and what his favoured way of playing is. I thought, oh, that's a bit of a worry. But so those are my thoughts on it, really, mate.
Well, more to come on Pellegrini later on when we get on to the questions. There's a few interesting ones, a few tasty ones, and a few that will be no fence sitting allowed, so we'll come on to that. But the big news this week is that there's been a breakthrough believed between the club and Lanzini, and that Lanzini is a lot closer to signing a new contract at West Ham United. So after the disappointment of the performance at Brighton, was that a bit of cheery up news?
Magnificent. I mean, I think he's our best player, Geo, and that's subjective, not only in terms of who you think is our best player, but is a good centre back worth more than a good striker or a good attacking midfielder is Declan Rice because he shields it. But whatever, once you've gone through that little argument with yourself and your mates, my choice would be Lanzini. I do think he's our best player. He looks a class apart. And I was just hoping with the shortfall, if you like, in money spent, in the net spend in the summer, particularly on wages, I was hoping that actually we'd made our signings and the rest of that money was being put aside a little bit maybe for a January signing if required. But certainly the money we've saved on Andy Carroll and Perez and a lot of the high earners, I was hoping that was going to be given to Lanzini to tie him down, because we need to tie him down, because that guy, I've not changed my mind. I don't think he would look uncomfortable in a top 6 team.
Yeah, I think he's my favourite player. I don't think he's our most valuable player. I think transfer market wise, I think actually Felipe Anderson would probably go for more if you were to sell them both tomorrow. But I do think he's our best player as well. And there was that couple of moments against Brighton, really. He got the assist, and that was a pass that only so many players in our team would have been able to do. And then he did that dribble where he gave it to Snodgrass, who did well to get a shot off and keeper saved it and stuff. But that was our only 2 opportunities that go in the whole game, and they both come from Manuel Lanzini. He did it against City as well. At one point against City, he got the ball and just started running, took on about 3 of them. And, not many players in Premier League can do that. And Watford, when they're looking back at the videos from the last 2 games, they will be saying, this guy gets a ball, you do not let him run at you, and do not let him dribble, because this is what he can do. He can go past you. There's been a lot of talk this week about tactical fouling. The Man City tackles, if you like, have been emphasised a bit more, and Liverpool ones as well. They've been doing it against Southampton recently, so a lot of people have been sort of focusing on this thing. It's not a new thing. I don't know why people are just bringing it up now. I think it's only because it's frustrating West Ham fans that it's emphasised with us or something. I don't know. But delighted to see Lanzini get a new deal. I think he deserves it. I wasn't too keen on giving him one in the summer. But it's a bit worrying that the club thought there was a 2-year option on his contract, and if we're giving him a new one, that would suggest that maybe it isn't there. And that means someone's massively ballsed up, actually. Someone's job is to get these contracts watertight, and they've not done that. So that's a bit concerning, if you like, especially if that person is the one giving out contracts to the players we've just signed since then that also have all these things in it. And if one player can legally challenge it at West Ham and win, you talked about how Marko Arnautovic setting the blueprint for players wanting out at West Ham last year. Well, Lanzini's sort of setting the blueprint for anyone with a year contract option that doesn't actually like the contract they're on. Now Lanzini's sort of saying this is what you do. You threaten legal action and try and disregard how much substance that cause has got, and you'll get a new deal. But I think you're going to add about 30% value onto his market price, if you like, by having him on a 4 or 5 year deal rather than just a 1 year deal. So it's winners all around as far as I'm concerned. And against Watford, he's the player I'm most looking forward to seeing again, just like I am every week. I think he's the one that can turn up and do some damage. But the next we've only really got 2 big topics tonight. The other one is Karren Brady. What are you laughing at?
Just the fact we've only got 2
big
topics. I'll tell you what, we're getting an hour out of it, mate. Don't you worry about that.
I'm just being honest. Some people tweeted us in the week saying, where's like the cup of tea from last week? And the truth is, there was just nothing to talk about, so we didn't do one. And we could have probably have left this till next week, because we're playing Newport next week. We don't have time, and I'm doing something next Wednesday night, which I might tell you later on in a cup of tea. Got to hang around for that. Gonzo knows about it. Charlie in the live chat knows about it. That's it. But we might tell you. But Karren Brady, she's been doing her Sun column again, and she's coming for criticism again. Did you read it?
No, I never. Have you got the gist of it? Remind me again. What subject was it on?
Daniel Sturridge.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she was saying it's no wonder that nobody wanted to sign him. His reputation in the game's bad, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for Gonzo's pretty much nailed it. But for people listening that's not read it, Karren Brady's done her Sun column. Daniel Sturridge, when she wrote it, he's got a club now. He's signed for a club today. But at the time he was a free agent. She basically said she's not surprised he's got no club, that he's got attitude problems, and wherever he goes, trouble follows, basically. And she's referred to a couple of points in his career, particularly when he was on loan at West Brom. she basically alluded that it was a waste of money, if you like. That's how I took it in. But it's just naivety and stupidity again from her, because the Leicester City thing was the biggest example ever. They refused to deal with us with Slimani because of her comments in the paper, and she's gone in the paper again, having a dig at a ex-England international, ex-Liverpool player. Now, you may very well agree with her. I don't think she's that far wrong, to be honest with you. I don't think anything she wrote is actually makes you think, oh, controversial. It's the fact it's her, someone in her position is doing that. You wouldn't want David Sullivan doing it or David Gold doing it either. You've got to be professional when you're at the top of these clubs, and this just isn't professional at all. And she's already had her fingers burnt, and that's what irks me more. But also, when she was writing that, did it never occur to her that West Ham gave Marko Arnautovic, someone with attitude problems who only wanted money, a new contract 6 months ago before she wrote this thing? Is exactly the same. What she's writing about is a guy only interested in money with a horrible attitude. West Ham gave Marko Arnautovic a new contract, and I just read it thinking you can't see what's in front of you sometimes, and I don't know, it's just frustrating, and it's something that's unnecessary.
Yeah, but I mean, what you've done is you've unwittingly linked two subjects together there. Because just before you started speaking about that, you basically said, "Oh, we didn't have any content, and we didn't put a cup of tea up last week because we didn't have any content." And for people watching this, at the start of each, well, not just a start, at any point, we'll sit down and we will discuss what we're doing, what's the plan for the week, what videos are going up, what's the plan for next week, what's happening, and we'll put in a loose plan of action of what videos we are going to do. We try and get some things sorted out for International Week sometimes because we know time is going to be slow. But what we never do, and what we've never done, is make things up to talk about. And it's fine because we're not really contractually obligated.
Hang on a minute, I don't know. I seen you do a video saying it's all right if Javier Hernandez starts up on against Man City.
I'll tell you what, mate. Look at him. I wasn't wrong, was I? Look at that, eh? You start him up front. Chicharito scores a goal. You picked your timing wrong there, mate. He's the last player to score for West Ham.
But anyway, continue, sorry.
But yeah, no, we try not to scrape the bottom of the barrel and just do a video for the sake of it. So we will often say, let's not bother, there's nothing to talk about, let's not do a video because we don't want to do a crap video. Having said that, we're going to do a crap video tonight. But she's contractually obligated to do so. So she actually has to. She's taken the shilling from the Sun. She's got to produce, I don't know how frequent her column is, but let's say she's got to produce a column a week. And in that column, they're going to want a couple of smaller bits, a juicy bit, and something controversial. And if there's nothing really to say, which there probably isn't, if you're not allowed to speak in detail about your own club, i.e. West Ham United, which she's probably not, and it's probably prudent not to talk about your own club, she's almost got to get the trawling net out and really sort of rake up something half interesting to say. And this is the problem, she's going to be very awkward if she has to meet him at some point, isn't she? But we've seen it before. It'd be very awkward if Sullivan ever had to meet Charlie Adams and so on and so forth. It's just, she's a rich lady. I don't know how many pounds she's getting from the Sun, but not for me to tell somebody what they can earn and what they can't earn. But does she need it? I would think probably not. And it doesn't. This one's not put West Ham in a bad light, I don't particularly think. People are savvy enough, people watch The Apprentice, people are switched on enough to know that actually this is Karren Brady and they separate it from West Ham. So actually don't make the club look foolish, just makes herself look foolish, really.
Only because it's a free agent, though. Because it did backfire with Leicester City a year ago or whatever when we tried to get Slimani on loan and they just said, no, we're not dealing with you. So
I did us a favour, he's useless.
Yeah, quite.
She knew what she was doing. Well done, Claren. Excellent.
Yeah, we should probably be thanking her, actually. Thanks for mugging them all. Can you mug off Carlos Sanchez next week?
Absolutely, yes. But
I don't know. We'll wait and see. Anyway, our competition we're going to be running between now and for the rest of the season, we're going to be giving away a free match ticket to every home game for the rest of the season, as well as entry to our votes for before and after the game. So we started it for the next Saturday against Norwich. It's on Twitter, this competition. So if you go into Hammers Chat Twitter, Hammers_chat. There's a tweet there. You just retweet it and follow us, and we're going to pick a winner from someone that's retweeted it, and you get a free match ticket. The Man United game will be given away on YouTube on this channel, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll do a video in international break after the Norwich game telling you how you can enter. But every single home game this season, Hammers Chat are giving away a match ticket and entry to the boats. Let's get some people to West Ham games that can't get to West Ham games normally. Nathan Chalk made his debut at the weekend for Wimbledon. Did you see his highlights? A few decent saves in there.
Not seen his highlights, but it's a shame. I would like to, but I've seen plenty of him in the past, so I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if he, did some athletic stops and distributed the ball out well and showed some nifty footwork as well. So he's a good player.
I'm glad he got into the team because he was injured on the first weekend and he missed out. You think, oh, this is not ideal. We sent him there to get game time, but he's in the team now. So that's good for. But someone else that's in the team, he's starting tonight, is Dean Garner. But at the weekend, he was on the bench for West Brom, came off it and scored 2.
Yeah, he did. He did. There was a point. I was stood with Mark at the Brighton game, and I turned around to Mark. As I say, I was completely sober, and we were just lacking pace. And I turned around to Mark and I said, I said, "Cry, we need some pace." There's Dean Garner on the bench, and he said, "What?" I said, "Dean Garner." He said, "He's at West Brom." I was like, "Oh yeah, of course he is. He said, "Make sure you put that in your video, won't you?" I still haven't seen them, but I did hear all about it, and lots of people had messaged me and said, "Have you seen Dean Garner?" I've still not managed to yet, but good on him. This is exactly what we wanted, Geo. It's exactly right to give him that confidence, to have the swagger, to be the main man. We did the video about Dean Garner. We spoke about him at length, and to give him that, to maybe get in the championship team of the season would be a huge boost to him. And yes, I certainly thought he could have done a job for us against Brighton, but I do think in the long run, this is the best thing to do. We will really benefit from this.
His second goal on Saturday was good as well. It's from about 22 yards out or something, and he's going across the box, and you sort of, if you're facing goal, he's on the left hand side of the goal, and you pung it into the far side bottom corner. He should have had an assist as well, but Charlie Austin somehow missed from about 3 yards out. But it'd be good for Dean Garner playing with someone as good and experienced as Charlie Austin as well, because you'd imagine, or you'd like to hope he's the type of player that might help coach the youngsters, because at the end of the day, Dean Garner's supplying Charlie Austin, so it's in Charlie Austin's best interest to make sure Dean Garner's on the same wavelength as him. He's got a really good manager as well with Bilic. You can all have your quibbles about it, whether he's good enough for the Premier League, but what you can't knock, in my opinion, is his sort of man management on a one-to-one basis, and he's a very nice bloke and stuff. So if Dean Garner has a poor game, you can be quite confident in Bilic's the type of guy that put his arm around him in training and say, this is where you went wrong, this is what you have to do, and he'll sort of coach him in a polite way, because Dean Garner, as we know, struggles with confidence. That's the reason there's questions over if he'd make it. It's not his ability. So the last thing you want is him to go in the Championship and struggle, and the manager just shouts at him or dents his confidence, if you like. So I do think it's a nice help. Be interesting to see how he gets on tonight as well for West Brom, home to Reading, so it's a tough game as well. Lanzini's in the Argentina squad. We're not going to discuss that, but they've got friendlies upcoming, 27-man squad. Lanzini's in it. What are you turning your nose? We weren't going to discuss it, but we are now. Why are you turning your lip up at it?
Well, that's how we got injured. So yeah.
Yeah, but you need your team. You need your players to be in international squads. You have to, because you're trying to attract big players to the club. The best selling point is to say, have a look at all the players we've got there playing for Argentina. Anderson's at Brazil, etc. I think it's big. I think it's important for the club as well. Yes, it's risky with Lanzini, but he came back at the end of last season, so he's been fit for 5-6 months now.
Yeah, I don't know. The old Dean Ashton thing still weighs heavily in the back of my mind, mate, to be perfectly honest with you. And yeah, I don't know. I do hear what you're saying, but at the moment I'm just more concerned about Lanzini going off and getting injured again. I'm a bit paranoid about it.
Yeah. Next Wednesday, I'm recording my next ex-player interview. It's a good player, isn't it, Gonzo?
Yeah, very, very good player.
Popular player as well.
Popular player, good player.
It's not like top tier. It's not Rio Ferdinand. It's not Di Canio. It's none of them. But I think it's in the next tier down.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, so I'm recording the next Wednesday and I'll go up in the international break. Got to say a massive thank you to someone who watches our videos called Scott. The player is signed with an agency. There's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing the ex-player can do about it. He's signed with an agency, so whenever he does stuff like this, there's a fee, and we don't have any money. So we basically needed to get we needed to get the video sponsored, and so there's a guy called Scott who has kindly sponsored the video, but he doesn't really want much promotion either. But thank you very much, Scott. We'll put his Twitter up and stuff for the video, but without him it wouldn't be happening, so massively
thank you, Scott.
Generous guy. 2 transfer rumours. First one, Fenerbahce in for Ogbonna on loan. Now the Turkish transfer window is still open, so that's important here. They can still loan him if they want to. Can't see that happening, surely.
No, I don't want it to happen either. Why? Not a chance. Every season someone gets injured, Ogbonna comes in. He'll have a couple of shaky games, and then he'll play a string of games, and within that he'll get man of the match 3 or 4 times. And he's a threat, possibly our only threat from corners sometimes. So no, I don't see any benefit. We can't bring anybody in. I don't see any benefit in it whatsoever.
Would you sell him? I think loaning's a no-no for me. Loaning's a no-no. But what happens if they came with, 10 million and said, here, 10 million on the table?
No, because we can't spend it. I'll take it in January. I'll take it in a transfer window.
Yeah.
But no, it's no good. If we were going to sell him, we should have sold him earlier before our window closed. There's no... Listen, I can see many, many good points for... Did you say Fenerbahce?
Yeah, I completely agree. I wouldn't sell him either unless it's ridiculous money. Then you've just got to pray that this Cardoso is good. I guess that's the question really to Pellegrini. Have you bought this guy to play first team football? Is he ready to play first team football? You'd imagine the answer is no, because he's only just arrived. So I wouldn't sell him either. But I hope we sell him in January, to be honest. Every time I watch him, I just don't feel confident in, I watched the Brighton game, the highlights back. I wasn't going to talk about the Brighton game, but I'm going to here just for the second for their goal. And while Ogbonna's standing off him, go watch the replay, just watch Masuaku. It's unbelievable. He's 15 yards away from where he should be, and there's a guy that starts nearer the Brighton goal, and when the ball hits the net, he's about 5 yards in front of Masuaku. Who overtook Masuaku? Masuaku just jogged back, because someone left a comment on the review, because we criticised Ogbonna for their goals. Someone said about how Ogbonna was maybe covering the left back. So I thought, why would you do that when there's a guy who would just shoot? But I watched it back, and he's right, to be fair. There's a Brighton guy running into the box unmarked, so I think Ogbonna does sort of think, well, I need to cut the pass out or something. So Ogbonna's in 2 minds, so maybe it was harsh to criticise him, but...
Well, all the others played worse than him in that game. I mean, it's a strange one to single out. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying if for one to just single out Ogbonna against Brighton, it seemed to be the consensus in the crowd that everybody didn't know why he'd been given captaincy. But actually, at the very start of the game, when they were on us, the first 2-3 minutes, he made 3 or 4 blocks and interceptions. Actually, thinking, maybe that's why he gave him the captaincy, to make him fit. So. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you can lay some blame at him for the offside, the goal that got disallowed as well. I thought he allowed the ball to get played back, but again, Masuaku was there, ball watching. But yeah, I think overall in that game, I think Fredericks, Masuaku, and Diop all played worse than Ogbonna. If you take the whole 90 minutes, so that's not to say Ogbonna was good, but yeah. He's no worse than anybody else at the moment. Keep him around.
I thought they all played okay. I just think our defence has got too much to do, really. I think it's hard to really criticise defence when they're almost getting bombarded every 5 minutes with an attack. They don't have much protection in front of them. The captain thing irks me a bit. It's not so much Ogbonna as a captain. Let's just hypothetically say Noble's fit for this weekend. It doesn't sound like Noble's going to make the Watford game. But if he was, we would have... It'd be our 3rd league game and we'd be having our 3rd captain of the season. That's not right. That doesn't sit well with me. I just think that, it's sort of like the England international thing. Remember you had that England game a few years ago and there's like 4 captains during the game. Someone had it. It was a friendly. Someone had it, Gerrard or whatever. He went off, gave it to Lampard. Lampard went off and gave it to whoever. And it just got passed about and you just think... the captain's armband should mean something, and I just don't see why our captains are players who aren't guaranteed to start. Noble should be the club captain, but after that I think it should be someone that's starting pretty much every week and playing most of the minutes, because then against Watford there's a possibility, right? There's a possibility that Zabaleta's going to be captain. Let's just say he took Zabaleta in for Fredericks, right? That's probably our captain for the game. And it's not good that we've got so much captains. There should only be one, then two, and that's it. It's like the Man United designated penalty argument all over the thing. But we were linked to a player, I can't remember, Radiga, a Celta Vigo defence midfielder who's now a free agent, but we can't sign him. We've got no players for the squad. So unless someone leaves, you can't come in. So we're not going to discuss that. Any other news that you've seen you wish to discuss before we move on to captains?
I don't think so. Let me just have a quick scroll. I can't think that there was anything. It's slow news, mate. It's really slow news at the moment. No, it's all
well. We've got a few questions to keep us busy. Are you ready?
Yeah, please do.
I'm going to try something now. When I watch other people's content, American Hammers TV and West Ham Fan TV, they've got this thing now. They can click on a comment and it comes up on the screen. We don't have that facility, so I thought I'd try. I'm going to try and bring up some of the Twitter comments now, one by one. Okay, so this goes wrong.
I can't see it. By the way, I just want everybody to know that I am not watching the live chat today because I disappeared last time, and we think it's because I had so many windows open. So I'm gradually trying different things. I'm going very low tech today.
Well, just want to say a massive thank you to it disappeared. Come back. A massive thank you to Darren Hutchinson in the live chat, who's just put in, I think it's $23.99 he's just put in, but he says it's £40. So unless there's like a currency thing going on, but it says $23.99. So Darren, thank you very much for that. That'll go towards our next player interview. Darren's sponsoring a quarter of the next player interview. Darren, thank you very much. But anyway, let's try this Twitter thing and have a little look. Here we go. Dean Marsh at Dean Marsh on Twitter says, controversial one coming up. Do we miss him who shall not be named up front being a bastard and putting himself about and being a pain in the arse for defenders, as Aller needs time to A, get over dead leg, and B, ask why none of our creative players try to supply him against Man City?
Hello, mate. Hope you're well. I don't think so, because I don't think we'd have got Hilaire without Arnie going. It's also worth remembering Arnie was quite an injury-prone player, so there's nothing to say that had he stayed, he'd be fit and raring to go now. And that's physically. There's also nothing to say that had he stayed, that he wouldn't have fallen out with somebody by now. You've also got to realise, is it public information about his fallout with? Did everybody know that?
What's that? Sorry. I'm concentrating. I broke the thing.
Arnie falling out with other players at the club. Is that common knowledge? Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, all right. I don't know. I don't know if I've told us a secret or not.
At what club? China.
Yeah. No, West Ham.
That's common knowledge. There was a story that Mark Noble ripped into him after a game, and then there went to be a confrontation between Arnautovic and Noble, and Zabaleta stepped in, and Zabaleta sort of sided with Noble as if to say, no, he's right, actually. I think the words about Noble was, you don't do this at West Ham, and Arnautovic basically said, I'll do what I want, and Zabaleta said, oh, actually, he's right, you don't do this.
Sorry, I couldn't remember whether I've read the story or someone had whispered it in my ear, so to speak. But yeah, all of that. There's nothing to say that that wouldn't have happened either. So it's easy to think, if Arnie was here, he'd be in the team and he'd be scoring. Not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think we miss him either, because we might have missed him against Brighton, but I don't think we missed Arnautovic. We missed Haller. That's it. We didn't miss Marco. Hugo, I don't know his second name, Schronker, something like that. He's basically the players' liaison officer at West Ham, and he tweeted on the eve of the season started, he tweeted about how the morale of the football club is the best he's ever seen at a football club, and he's worked for Southampton and stuff in the past as well. And it does seem like there is a good sort of team spirit going on, and he's probably part of the reason for it becoming good. And I don't miss him. He's maybe got a point. Ask why none of our players are trying to supply him at City, but Did Marko Arnautovic ever do that? I don't think he did. I certainly seen him sulking, standing still, going, "Ooh," but I didn't see him saying to players, hang on, this is how I want it and stuff. Usually, Marko Arnautovic was the one getting moaned at because he was in the wrong position. Felipe Anderson would be trying to pass and he was about 5 yards outside the box. So,
well, also, it's very easy to look through claret and blue tinted spectacles or whatever and think he was always brilliant. I was at Brighton last season as well, and Marko Arnautovic played in that and he was absolutely useless. So, it's something to say he'd be having one of his brilliant games, which were few and far between anyway.
Yeah, so listen, he's a good player. I'm not going to start saying Marko Arnautovic is rubbish. He was a damn good player, but do we miss him? Not yet. Maybe in May or Christmas time, Valor hasn't scored any goals, and we can say, yeah, we do miss Marko, but as it stands, no, we do not. Next question from Twitter is Nick at Cuckoo Blofeld says, do you still think we had a 9 out of 10 transfer window? Now, it was me that said 9. I think you said 8.
I think so.
Is it still a 9? No. I probably got caught up in excitement and optimism. But I still think it was a good one. I think there's a question later on about Fornals, and I think that's I can understand why he's been asked. I just think it's too soon. I think maybe we didn't have enough money to spend, and by Pellegrini spent all the money he had essentially. He could have also done with a bit more to get more players in, but at the same time, just signing Aller, I stand by this. I do think he is a massive coup for West Ham, and I'm not, after 2 games and he's only played one of them, it was against Man City, I'm not gonna start saying, well, our transfer window was crap. Actually, I still think it was a good transfer window. The problem so far isn't what we've done in the summer. The problem so far is getting the players to play together, because against Brighton we only had 1 new signing start, but it looked like we had about 8 new signings start, and that's the problem. It wasn't, for me, it's not the transfer window. Is it still a 9? No. I'll come down to a 7 because I think we need a centre midfielder, but I found that out the hard way because Pellegrini's insisting on playing 2 centre mids instead of 3, and the left back's still an issue. But if you go back through our videos all summer, we sat here saying left back and right back's going to be an issue until next summer. However, I can accept buying a left back and right back off until the following summer anyway. So I'll say a 7 out of 10. Are you sticking with your 8?
I'm not going to judge it. I don't mind climbing down. I mean, I'm quite happy to call it if it's been absolute pence, Gio. If it turns out rubbish and it turns out to be a 2 out of 10, I'll call it as such. But I think, if I'm not going to judge Pellegrini yet, I can't really judge the transfer window yet. I am like you. I cannot speak for months about this exciting striker that I want to come in, and then we get this guy, and then I do about 3 or 4 videos of me being very excited. I'm happy to come in, and then he plays 1 game against City, don't play against Brighton, and then be doom and gloom. I can't do it. I cannot do it. Fornals, you said we'll speak about later. I've not seen a Jesse play, so I can't even judge him. I've not seen the centre back play. So the truth is, I just don't know. I'd be absolutely delighted if it is an 8, but there are other factors, as you suggested, other than what signings we've brought in. But it's been 2 games. It has only been 2 games. So let's have a look after.
Well, we're ready to get
6-7 games.
We're ready to get questioned on the other factors rather than the transfer window. They're coming up. And one of them is right now. Jason at ULES. Jason, was getting Fornals worth not getting a left back or a centre midfielder?
It would be so easy to jump on something that has the potential to become fashionable, and that is let's criticise the signing of Fornals there. I am not overly impressed. I think he's quite slow. I think he's going to take time to adjust to the Premier League. He hasn't got the pace that Lanzini's got, for instance. I think he's very, very technical. And it's very difficult for those players to come into anything other than a settled team. We don't have a settled team. I certainly think it's nigh on impossible that what Pellegrini seemed to be trying to do in pre-season with the 3-4 number 10s, if you like, it's nigh on impossible that is going to work out. So I think it's going to be tough for him because he's just not fast enough to play wide. He seemed to be pulling wide left for Spain under 21s in the tournament in the summer, but they're playing a very, very different system, and they had, dare I say, better players in midfield than we had. And I do think it's difficult, but I think it's fashionable. It's not fashionable. I think it might become fashionable for fashionable. What am I trying to say?
Bandwagon,
I don't want to make him a
bandwagon.
scapegoat. Scapegoat. I don't want to make him a scapegoat just yet. I do think it's too early. The fornicator may well rise again, so to speak. Not every player settles quickly. I think we've been a little bit blessed really last season because. Whether you like him, whether you don't, Anderson did hit the ground running. He didn't seem that bothered by the Premier League. He was taking on players and using his attributes, which is pace, and he travels quickly with the ball, doesn't he? And I think the same with Diop and Balbuena. I mean, Balbuena again, he was a Peruvian guy, come from the Brazilian league, I believe, and he hit the ground running. That's very, very rare for foreign players to do that, and maybe we're a little bit spoilt last season. This one may be more of a slow burner, but it doesn't mean that he's a bad player.
It's a tricky question, really, because we haven't seen what Fornals can do yet. My worry isn't getting Fornals. My worry is Pellegrini trying to fit Lanzini, Fornals and Anderson into this starting 11 every week. That's more my concern a little bit, because I don't mind Fornals playing out left like he did against Brighton. He sort of started on the left, because when I watched Spain under 21s, that's where he was playing. He was playing well, but the difference is Spain had about 70% of possession in the games, and he didn't really have to defend because other team didn't attack Spain that much in the under 21s as they do West Ham. The right back in the Premier League has no issue running past Fornals and getting at Masuaku, and that's my concern a little bit, that we've got too many of the same players. But on the upside of this, next summer, if for whatever reason he hasn't worked out, or we've got one too many number 10s, we can sell one of them for probably about 40 million, whether it's Anderson, Fornals or Lanzini. You can get all that money back for selling one of those three players. I think Pellegrini last season must have been tearing his hair out when Lanzini was injured, Wiltshire was injured, all he had was Anderson. And I think it's quite clear from the season, even after just 2 games, I think it's quite clear Pellegrini doesn't see Antonio in his starting 11. He almost doesn't want to play Antonio. He obviously sees Antonio is the ugly duckling to Pellegrini. He is though, isn't he? He doesn't want him there. He doesn't want this guy with pace and power who's a bit rash. You've seen against Brighton when he shot from 25 yards out. Pellegrini must have been fuming at that. He must have been thinking, what are you doing? Just pass the ball. Just pass it. Stop this shooting. And I think this is why he's gone for the number 10. And also, I just think he thought it was a bargain for what you were getting. And going by in the 21s, you'd have to say, all these Spanish journalists and pundits thought 25 million, that's cheap. Sometimes you've just got to go for the player because it is such a good deal, and you almost get an advantage on your counterparts and stuff. It might come back to haunt us in May, but I always say give a player a year. I'm not going to judge Fornals until the summer. Ask me in May if I thought what I think of Fornals, and I'll give you an answer.
And also, Gio, just one more point on that. It is entirely possible that we go and buy a left back and he doesn't work out as well. The assumption in any of these arguments is that we don't get this player, in this instance Fornals, and the left back comes in and is world class or is absolutely brilliant. You can still buy a flop at left back.
Yeah, it's a good question. I get the point of the question. It's a good hypothetical question. Question number 4, which is a little bit away from football, which is good. We always like a little bit of fun on this show. James Gunn says, what question to make you think? Why is a building called a building if it's already been built?
Oh. I don't know. Maybe let's just start off referring to it in construction and carry on. I don't know. Sorry, James. Can't help you out, mate.
I don't know. I don't even have any sort of possible reasoning beyond this as well. I don't know. It's a strange one. James needs to get off these funny questions. Too difficult for us. Next one from Twitter is, and this is where it gets interesting. Lynn Canal. Lynn says, do you think Pele is getting it right, or do you have doubts? I think there's been a few people in the last week or so not getting doubts. They've maybe had doubts from last season, but they're starting to run out of patience a little bit. Now, they're not demanding he gets sacked or that. I think people are maybe questioning about more than they were last season, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, doubts are fine. Geo, doubts are fine. Next Tuesday, some people are going to drive to Wales. Okay? And you are allowed, after you've spent your money and bought your train ticket or filled your tank up with petrol or whatever you do, might not even be going. I mean, you've seen all the lovely footage from when the West Ham Way and X and Dave have gone over to the States. And I mean, what a crack that looked. I mean, I found myself looking at it being a bit jealous, actually. Again, that looked good. I mean, that did look good. Apart from the geezer being brought out on the stretch. Anyway, people are invested in it, whether you're going or not. You might, I don't know where the club is, but you might nowhere's close in America, is it? You might drive 50 miles to go to the supporters bar and watch the thing, whatever you do. So everyone has an investment or invested in West Ham. You're allowed to have doubts, and I do think there's a long way between doubts and calling for his head and saying he should be dropped, which you're allowed to do as well, by the way. It would defend anyone's right to do that. Yeah, I think it's natural, and we all did. There's no doubt about it. When that team was read out, it was a massive sigh and a scratching of heads. Why is he playing that? Nobody knew what he was doing, and then after 20 minutes, there's murmurings on the stands. No one's saying Pellegrini's sacked, but they are, saying, "Come on, close him down, move. What are you doing? What are you doing?" And when the substitution doesn't come, you're shouting out, "Why isn't he subbing the player that I want to come on?" That's quite natural to question it, and it's part of it.
Yeah, I completely agree about the opinions thing. Listen, you can have your opinions and doubts about buying for Fornals already. I don't care if it's one game. You do what you want. I give them a year. You can give them however long you want. You're always right. It's your opinion. You're always right. And that's how I always think it as well. As for the question from Lynn, I'm very patient when it comes to managers, I think. Not David Moyes, because I didn't like his football, but I tried to stick by Slav, and I think I stuck by Slav more than the majority of West Ham fans. Pellegrini, I'll be the same with him, because I can see what Pellegrini wants to do and I can buy into that. Is he managing to do it? Not really. There were some boring games last season, but there were also some good games, and we're West Ham, so I'm prepared to put up with some absolute boring ones. I remember phoning Gonzo, I don't know, it must have been October, November time. We were ready to play Burnley at home, remember? And I said to you, I can't be arsed, it's going to be 0-0, so I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
I was on my way. I was on my way to Aberdeen. I'd just done a week of work, a day of work, which was a Friday. Way to get the overnight bus to London to watch West Ham play Burnley, and I was phoning Gonzo. I was not in the mood. I can't be bothered. We won 4-2, and the football was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I went, and that sums it up for me a little bit. You don't know what you're going to get with Pellegrini. You might get what we've seen against Brighton. We were just poor. If I'm being honest, from what I've seen so far, not this season, the whole year and a bit, I think he's doing a good enough job. I think he's doing a good job, but I expected more from a manager of his calibre in football and wealth, if that makes sense. I'm not expecting Pep Guardiola Man City football, but it's okay for me. I'm happy with what I've got. I just thought he might have done a bit better, if that makes sense. Now, I don't mean results-wise. Against Brighton, away, with 2 shots at goal that I can remember. Snodgrass's one and the goal that Hernandez scored. I can't remember Matt Ryan having to make another save off the top of my head. And I just expected a bit more creativity almost. And I'm watching games. I watch a lot of Premier League football, as you may know. This weekend I watched 6 full games, I think. And then the other 4 that I never watched, I watched the half-hour highlights for that's on Premier League Sky Sports on a Sunday morning. So I watched at least half an hour from every game. And there's teams coming up with all these corner tactics and stuff. The Wolves goal against Man United, Neves, but that well-worked corner, I don't see that at West Ham. I remember that free kick we did against Liverpool, well-worked. That slid it in, goal, wonderful. But they're so far and few between. I've seen more times we take a 1-yard free kick where Snodgrass touches it to Anderson a yard in front of him, then crosses it, and you think, what's that all about? Corners with no creativity, and I just expected a little bit more invention from Pellegrini, if you like. A guy with such an attacking philosophy, but we struggle in the final third. How does that work? I don't know. Expecting more. I'm happy with him. I don't want him gone. Good for it. Do you know? Am I making sense?
Yeah. No. Of course, you're making sense. Yeah, it's yeah. I'm more or less the same. Although I've got to say, everything, and I'm consistent on this. Is all predicated upon the fact that I expect a cup run. I expect that to be taken seriously. If we go
Your
out,
dog does not like Pellegrini.
No,
Pellegrini out.
It wasn't a Pellegrini. It was the thought of us not having a cup run. He went mad. Absolutely, literally, rabid. I will lose my patience. I will lose my patience. There's no doubt about it. If we go out to Newport, I will lose a lot of faith. I will not be happy at all. So, I can take a slow start to the season. I wrote Man City off long before the season came along. I'll take that point, and I'll hope that he's learned from it. Just touching on it, because we have come round to it, which I mentioned earlier on. I was worried when he said he doesn't know his best team, or doesn't know his best formation. That did worry me, but it also did fill me with a little bit of hope. If he might actually think, this is not working, I'll try something different, which he did do last season. Let's remember that it wasn't working, and he mixed it up and changed the shape a bit. So hopefully he does that, but he's got to know that you can lose to Man City and you can be a bit crap against Brighton. But after what happened with Wimbledon, because that's the context in this, after what happened with Wimbledon last season, you better take this seriously. You better try and win that cup.
The way the best analogy for me for Pellegrini, before we move on to the next question, is it's like when you go into a sweet shop. Do you know how they have ready-made pick and mixes, don't they? A 50p bag.
Yes.
You don't know what's in them, but it's a collection of the 1p's and 2p's and the 5p sweets.
Mainly foam eggs, Geo. They're trying to palm me off with the foam eggs.
This is what I say.
I'm not falling for it.
You go in there and you get the most expensive pick and mix bag. You pay £1. You get the premium pick and mix bag, but you open it up and there's one of them. Do you know those really crap lollipops you get that dissolve in your mouth pretty quickly? I don't know what you call them.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
They're like a 10p sweet. You don't want that in your bag, because you could have had 10 rhubarb and custards, but instead you've got this really crap lollipop. It's a bit like that with Pellegrini for me, that we've bought the premium stuff, but there's like a 10p lollipop, and I'm not quite satisfied with my money, and maybe we could have just picked my own £1 mix.
I think you lost me and half the audience.
Well, I'm just trying to say...
when you said rhubarb and custard.
I'm just trying to say... you know what I mean, a rhubarb and custard sweet
disgusting.
is...
It's disgusting.
The best sweet there is. One of the best.
It's disgusting. If you're going to go for that half and half, you've got to go for the strawberry and the cream. Rhubarb and custard is disgusting. Actually, rhubarb's quite disgusting. Why would somebody have rhubarb crumble when you can have apple crumble?
But the funny thing is, I don't like rhubarb crumble, but it's those little sweets, those little cylinder sweets. They're really nice.
Not for me. Next week, telling me you eat those aniseed twists.
Well, the thing is, when I was a kid, back at school, our sweet shop was just down from the school, so we used to go there often. And I used to always get them, but I never knew what they were. But I knew I liked them, and I always got them. Then I went into an old-fashioned sweet shop once, and it had a jar of them behind the counter, and it said rhubarb and custards, and I thought, I don't really like rhubarb, but I like those sweets. But anyway, Hugo's just scored for QPR tonight, so well done, Jordan Hugo. Viva Jordan Hugo. Next question, last question to come up on the screen. This is working, I'm happy with this. Quick one. George Lewis, what is the commentating cliche you hate the most? Wand of a left foot is mine. Why is wand used exclusively for left-footed people? Is there a general rule that left-footers kick it better than right-footers? I mean, I would agree, they do.
Well, I think it just looks different, but in terms of the question itself, how long you got the overuse of the word literal? He literally ripped the back of the net off. No, he didn't. He did. There's no ripping of the net. They talk about the left foot. What they say, he's got a cultured right foot, as if what's it doing? Learning a second language, drinking a glass of wine. The worst one is the pluralisms. So your Snodgrasses. Your Ogbonners of this world. No, there's only one. I'll tell you what. You can have Nevilles. And you can have your Ronaldos of this world, because there were two of them and they were both world class. You can say, your Ronaldos of this world, but and Stuart Pearce does not stop. And I love Stuart Pearce. And everyone he says spot on. I think he's a really good commentator. But they'd be talking about the Wayne Rooneys and the David Beckhams, and you think, crikey, there's millions of them. They're multiplying.
They
So
say it for
that
clubs.
annoys me as
They
well.
say it for clubs as well, don't they? Oh, you've got to, in the Premier League, you've got to accept defeats against the Liverpools and the Man Cities. There's only one of
You
each.
can say you can say the Bristols. Oh, actually, that's quite rude. No, forget it. Yeah.
I'll say it's when they refer to the importance of a goal that annoys me. When they say, "Oh, the next goal is really important." I've never seen a game of football where I sit there thinking, you know what, doesn't matter who scores next, doesn't matter. Or they say, oh, it's a really important time to score. Is there a non-important time to score? Is between the 20th and 30th minute not important?
You're right. Sometimes they say at 2-0, 2-0, the most dangerous score, most dangerous lead in football. Not really. 1-0 probably. Probably 1 is more dangerous than 2. Two's a better lead than 1, isn't it? That's what you want to be. You want to be a little geezer sniping next to the commentator, just picking holes in what he's saying. That's a good gig.
Yeah, the worst thing is we're going to do a review on Saturday, and I bet we scored just before half time, and I'm going to sit there going, that was a really important time to score.
It's a monumental goal.
But anyway, we're going to move on to questions now from people that sent the questions in via YouTube. They're not going to come up on the screen, sorry. I only got time to do that, and I didn't know if it would work, but it worked. It went good. Michael Monday Mike says, given our performance in the first 2 games, would either of you like to revise your prediction on where we are going to finish in the Premier League this season? I said 8th and you said 9th. I'm going to stick with 8th.
I don't. Not particularly. I don't. I didn't. No. I had us finishing behind the likes of Leicester and Everton and so on and so. I can't change my mind on that. And the others, Bournemouth, Watford, and such, they don't look brilliant, do they? And so obviously Norwich have started quite well, look quite good. If Norwich finish ahead of us with spending no money, particularly after Brady had said what she'd said in her column as well. Then we do have issues, don't we? Really, we're doing something very wrong, and they're doing something very right. No, I think we are going to be a mid-table team.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with 8 because last season we lost our first 4 games of the season. We still managed to do all right. And at one point we looked like we could finish 8th. This season, things are slightly better for us. If you look at the comparable fixtures, this is where it gets a bit funny for me though. When you look at the comparable fixtures, we're technically a point up, but we beat Watford last season. And so if we don't win on Saturday, we're technically worse off than we were last season, if that makes sense. I don't like looking at it like that because it's never straightforward, but as a rule of thumb, Matt Jarvis was on doing an interview with us and he said about how it's Allardyce, we know Allardyce did that, but Allardyce would break it down into 6 games and see we've got to get X amount of points from that 6 and stuff. So it probably happens. Allardyce used to speak about how many points they had to get on average per game, didn't he? Quite often he'd say, we need 1.3 points per game. Then if we lost a couple, he'd say, we now need 1.6 points per game and stuff.
I see.
Because remember, he went up to about 2 and we went, well, that's just relegated then because there's no way you're getting that much points per game on average. So no, I'll stick with it. George Carby, why can us fans see what players should be playing for what matches but Pellegrini can't? Gets the team wrong a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think that's the case with a lot of managers. I think at Fanstead, I think you'd maybe take Wolves out of that equation. Wolves were on the telly the other day. Can't remember who they were playing.
Man United.
I sat down with my old man and we were watching a bit of it, and he said, look at them. He said everyone knows where they're meant to be, and he was absolutely right. And I watched them, with those spectacles on from that point, with that viewpoint in mind, and they were organised. And I doubt Wolves fans are particularly looking at the team thinking, I wish we had a different centre back playing. I think they probably have a really solid identity to them. But I do think there are probably a lot of managers who are frustrated. I wouldn't mind betting that there are Everton fans looking at that team saying, hold on, why is he playing him? I think that probably happens quite a lot. I don't think it's exclusive just to West Ham. I think it's also tough for managers because they see things that we don't see in a week with training and stuff like that. What I would say about Pellegrini, though, in terms of being worried and frustration, I don't think he's a stubborn man, and he showed enough last season that actually if players aren't playing, he'll drag him out of the team and he'll play someone else. If shape's not working, he'll try a different shape. So I think he does have that ability.
I think Pellegrini is stubborn, but not with players, but with the way he plays. This is my formation, and I'm not going to change. What worries me a little bit is one player goes out our starting 11, and the whole thing needs reshuffled. Like it just collapses. You know, you've seen against Brighton, no Anderson, no Aller, no Noble. You can pick which one it is, but I reckon we could have two of them back for this weekend, and we'd still struggle a little bit. It's very concerning because a lot of teams, if one player comes out, the other one goes in and they play the same way. But with West Ham and the Pellegrini, it's like one player comes out, the whole thing needs redone. You know, he's too, like on Saturday, he changed the centre back pairing, and it wasn't necessary. It was just disrupting the back four. We had a new left back as well. Bear in mind, the left back was changed as well. So two of our back five was changed, and I think one of them was justified, but I don't think the other one was. And there's a good chance it might be changed again for this weekend. There's no time to settle, and this is why I said in the review, this is what concerned me, that was Potter's second game in charge of Brighton. They look more organised than us. You know, that's the worrying thing. We're going to jump onto a live chat question because there's a few coming in, but then I'll go back to these ones because it was a fun one, and I want to do it before I miss it. Let me just find it. Scroll up a bit. Here we go. GB, if you were both stranded on a desert island, which survival task would you not trust the other one with, and why? And what would your best survival skill be?
Well, I'm a builder, so I think I would trust myself to make the shelter and make raised beds. You've got to get away from the sandflies, really. And so I think if that's my best thing, I would do. I wouldn't trust Geo to do it because I would build a better shelter than he would. So I'd be saying, wait, you, go on, go and go to that shop on the beachfront and get a couple of cocktails. I'm building the shed.
Not sure what I wouldn't trust you with. There's not much you can do on a desert island, though, is there? There's
sandcastles. Build a lot of sandcastles. I've got a joke. It's too long to say. I've got a really, I think it's a really good joke about a desert island, but it's 3-4 minutes long. You can't.
Well, it doesn't stop you going on about other stuff for 3 minutes. So you might as well crack on.
I know. I'll make a separate video out.
At least, we normally laugh at your 3-minute opinion. You might as well laugh at your 3-minute joke.
Yeah, no, I honestly, it's too long, and you know what? I built it up now. Probably crap.
I was about to say,
we can't tell if nobody laughs. If we were still on Google Hangouts, we had the canned laughter. We could give it a symbol and everybody laughing.
I can fake laugh.
Yeah, no, it really is.
We've just discussed it for about 3 minutes. You could have said it by now.
No, it's too long. It's too long.
Anyway,
it's fine. I don't,
my best survival skill. Telling Gonzo what to do. Say to Gonzo, build me a shelter. Gonzo thinking that's like his main skill. Go, yeah, no problem. Gonzo's thinking, I'm better at building a shelter. Actually, I've told him to do that. I've managed him. My best survival skill would be planning. So whether it's sort of
pointing.
rationing the food and such like. Not using too much sticks on the fire in one go. That would be me. Logistics.
Oh, it's so Scottish. Oh, don't you put another stick on the fire.
That was better than your... that's probably better than your Desert Island joke. That, well done.
It's to be thinking about it. It's a bit too rude, but we don't want to get in trouble with Google, YouTube.
Ian Gravitt. As Nigel Kahn said on More Than Just a Podcast, he's never managed a club like West Ham before. To be honest, we are in danger of bringing him down to a level of unfulfilled ambition. There's no real question there, but do you agree with that? Do you know something? I don't. I think in Spain, Villarreal wasn't like the biggest club in Spain at that point. It was a club with potential. And I actually think this is quite similar to his job at Villarreal. The problem is, I think Pellegrini's then got up in the footballing world, if you like, and got used to having all these big players that with big ability that can do things, and he can play 4-2-3-1 and get away with it, and it works for him. But now at West Ham, it doesn't work, and this is why sometimes I've said we're playing Man City tactics and we're West Ham players, because I do believe that sometimes. I do believe he's trying to play a football that's suited for the Agueros and the Sterlings, and we ain't got them. And I think he struggles with that a little bit sometimes. I do think he struggles to sort of downsize his plans.
yeah. The Dembeles, you could do that one. You could do Dembeles. There's millions of them, but
and they're all good.
They are good. I should have named my son Dembele. Anyway, I think it's the wrong one to look at. I don't know enough about Malaga, and I don't know enough about Villarreal, which are the two Spanish clubs that he's managed. What I do know, and what the far more worrying thing than either of those, is the fact that he was in semi-retirement in China when we brought him back, and that's the club that I would worry most about. Not because of the club. Again, I don't know anything about it at all, but I just worry that his mindset might have been feathering the nest for one last job before he went back to his family in Chile, who have always lived in Chile. So, that would be my only thing. But that's just to answer the question.
Pardon me. A massive thank you to Darren Clarkson, who donated money again, and this time he donated £99.
What?
Yeah, ridiculous. Unfortunately, YouTube's going to take quite a large chunk of that. But again, I think Darren's going to get me another ex-player interview on his own.
Yeah. Honestly, Darren, that's very generous. And Geo is not mucking around when he says about the fee for the player.
I think it's a fair fee. It's not like massive, but at the same time, we just don't have money, do we? So it's sort of it's frustrating, really. It's more difficult than some people think to get an ex-player to come on and do an interview. It's quite difficult. So I'm hoping to build a portfolio. I'm hoping that once I've got 3 or 4, sort of the 5th one becomes a bit easier because his mate has gone on and done an interview and can say, yeah, actually those boys are all right and stuff. But a massive thank you to Darren. Ray Boredom says, are you coming for a beer at my bar on the away day for Liverpool or Everton? And you can film here as well if you like. Well, thank you very much, Ray, for that. I was actually trying to go to Everton away. Everton away was the one away day I was wanting to do this season, but it's on the weekend of Bez's birthday, which is a bit of a curveball, but never say never. I'm going to try and get to Everton away. That's the one away day I want to do, and if that's the case, we will be coming to see you, Ray.
I'm very interested to hear more about this, Ray, actually. I'm not adverse to going to a bar, it has to be said, and I am also always happy to go and have a drink with fellow Hammers. Particularly, it's always useful to know people in these northern towns, you know.
Ray's a good person for the channel. He donated money in 2 streams ago.
Yeah, I know.
So Ray's a good man. I know. Gary Smithhurst is asking a hint on the ex-player. Which decade? I've seen him play live. That rules out quite a lot, I think. I think that's a fair.
Yeah, don't give any more away.
I won't give any more away, but that's a fair hint. Dave Goodyear, who does a fan cam after the Bilbao game, the ball guy, but a good fan cam from Dave. Do you think our
with a swimming pool, may I say?
Yeah. Do you think our inability to defend very well is down to our defenders being either out of form or not good enough? Or is it Pellegrini's tactics leaving them exposed?
I think Valbuena's a good defender, and I certainly think Diop's a good defender. I think it's a bit of both. I'm not sure how good the defenders are either side, wide, which is a problem for us. I think it's a mixture of us being weak at fullback and the tactics, which is weird. You know, I think we all expected, didn't we, that we'd be open at the back, but we thought we'd be scoring freely as well. So it is a bit odd, because what it does, if you're not scoring freely, then the opposition aren't fearing you. They're not giving the opposition something to think about, which is the whole point of attacking. So they stay back. They're frightened to go forward in case you fill in the space behind them and you score loads of goals. If you're blunt up front, and the opposition feel that they can attack whenever they want. So I do think, believe it or not, as silly as it sounds, us being blunt in attack probably has something, you know, also contributes to teams attacking us.
I think they're too exposed. I do think they are. That's something we'll come to set. But I think the biggest issue for me is Pellegrini keeps changing them. Like, I reckon last season our defence changed the most out of anyone else in the Premier League. Every week there was at least one change. Right, it was usually right back or left back, but there was a change every week. How many consecutive games did Fredericks play last season? 5 at the most, I'd imagine. I know he had a big injury, but that's my point. There was always changes. Creswell, Masuaku, 5-6 games, then it would get swapped over. Ben Johnson got a couple of games here and there.
Yeah.
Zabaleta played enough. There's just too much changes in defence. You look at the teams that do well, they tend to have a very settled team, a defence that knows each other inside out. Geo Gonzo said about how he was watching Bulls the other night. The same back three that they were playing last season. They've signed that young Spanish guy, but he's not getting in the team. Why? Because they've got a settled back three. When he does get in, I would imagine he stays in, unless he's obviously playing really bad. But we don't let players have. I mean, Balbuena had, according to Pellegrini, had a dodgy game against City and got, that's it, dropped. What good's that? You've got to be on. This is too much. I think it's too far. As I keep saying, if you're the manager, and this is talking about offensive players now, but if you're the manager, in two weeks in a row now, we've had to make at least a sub at half time. That means you've got it wrong at the start of the game. That's all I'm going to say. I think Pellegrini's defence is too exposed, but we need a settled back five, and until then, I think we're going to continue to put problems. Fraser, does it concern you? We barely create a chance in 180 minutes. Antonio is the only player trying to get in behind and stretch the opposition.
Say again?
Fraser saying, does it concern you that we've barely created a chance in 2 games and that Antonio is the only player trying to get in behind the opposition?
Yeah, it does worry me because he values, I'm talking about Pellegrini here, he values really good commodities with players like technique and passing and so on and so forth. And those are really good. They're the type of players you want to see. That's why Lionel Messi's the best player in the world. It's a wonderful commodity to have. But Gio alluded to it earlier and he said, what was it, the ugly duckling? Did you say Antonio was the ugly duckling? Something like that. And he's right. Because I've said this before, the strength and power and pace are commodities in their own right, but sometimes they use a dirty word. It's almost to damn someone with faint praise. Oh, he's big and strong, or he's fast. Well, actually, those are useful, very, very useful skills. Anybody that has played football, even just in the park or whatever, we've all come up against a geezer with the thighs like that. You can be as good as you want, but he just knocks you flying. That is an attribute on the football field, and I do worry about how much Pellegrini values pace and power and those two in particular, and that's probably what worried me about the formation at Brighton. And it's not even in hindsight. I said it quite openly before the game. I do worry that he looks at that. And he doesn't. There's no point in his team where he looks and thinks, "Oh, I don't have enough fast players in there." And that I find weird when you're setting up a team, because even the most fluid of teams and the best passers will always have some real quick players in there. And so it does worry me a little bit that it's not fully recognised and that Antonio is not as involved as he should be, because Antonio needs to be on the team sheet every week.
Yeah, I mean, the chance thing's funny because to me, you don't have to create chances as long as you shoot. The lack of shooting concerns me because it was the same against Man City. In the first half, we were getting into their third okay, but when we got there, we seemed to stop and pass it, and then they'd win the ball back and break. And against Brighton, in the first 20 minutes, we kept the ball well. Not necessarily outside their box, but we kept it okay. But it was pass, and you were just... And I said on the boats after to someone, I said, if you look at the games Man City have lost last season, there was only 1 or 2. But Crystal Palace beat them at the Etihad. Look at the goal Andros Townsend had to score in order to beat Man City. Right? if you don't shoot, you're not going to score. But sometimes you need a bit of a wonder goal. Look at Wolves against Man United. It took Neves had to bend it into the top corner in order to score. We don't even try those shots, and that worries me a little bit. That we're trying to pass the ball into net a little bit too much. The Brighton one, it's not just the lack of Antonio and the pace and power. It was also that we had Robert Snodgrass on the right wing. Now, Robert Snodgrass works hard and he can cross the ball. That's his attributes. Okay. So we've got the best crosser on the pitch, but Hernandez in the box. And it doesn't really work. It doesn't really go together. I thought Snodgrass was fantastic in centre midfield in the second half. I thought he was what we needed in there. But I just looked at it and I just thought, well, you've got a creative Lanzini in the centre of the pitch. You've got Fornals out on the left. But there's only so much they can do in the middle of the park. Once they get outside the box, there's not much they can do. There's a little bit of pressure on Pellegrini this week against Watford to get it right, I think. I think there is a bit of pressure on him. Because if we lose, fans will start getting a bit more unhappy, I think. And we'll be going to the London Stadium against Norwich, who are playing well, scoring goals, having fun. And with 1 point on the board, and it won't be a good place to be.
No.
Francis King, there was lots of positivity around our dealings in the last transfer window. 2 games in, and looking at the team now, do you still feel as positive?
Excuse me. No, it's impossible to, mate. How can you? You can't. You can't. You hope for the best and you try and feel a little bit better about it, but you can't. There's no way you can be as positive as that day that Sebastian Haller was holding up his shirt. You can't. And there is a worry. And funny enough, Geo just alluded to it there. And it's a terrifying thought. Because Norwich look tasty. It's a terrifying thought that actually we don't beat Watford. And actually, Watford, who are bottom of the league, we actually lose to Watford. And then we have a Norwich City with their tails up facing us at our stadium, with no guarantee we'll win that at all. So no, you can't. I think if you were bouncing around being happy clappy and being mega positive right now, say no, that's it, we're getting 6 points from our next 2 games, I think there would be a certain amount of false confidence and convincing oneself in that, really, mate, to be fair.
I'm not positive, but I'm not negative either, because I expected to get slapped by City. We got slapped. Brighton, I thought we'd win, but when I knew Arler and Anderson was out, I thought, okay, a draw. So I expected a draw, we got a draw. So when you expect something and you get it, it's hard to be angry, disappointed. So I'm sort of neutral at the minute. I'm not positive. I'm not that excited for Saturday either, actually, against Watford. Someone messaged me today and said, are you confident for Saturday? I was like, no. Lol. Just to try and take the edge off the no.
just to finish the direct message on a positive.
Take the edge off the no.
Face. Thumbs up, yeah.
It sounded a bit rough, so I added lol. And I said, are you? And someone replied like, God damn no, or something like that. There's no lol on that reply. But that's the point. The positivity and the confidence is seeped out of West Ham fans already. I watched the Norwich highlights against Newcastle. Not only have they got their tails up, how they play would cause us severe problems. The way they play football and stuff, and it could be a worry in a couple of weeks, and there'll be a lot. We don't win against Watford, Newport will fancy their chances as well before we play Norwich. They'll think, you know what, this team are there for the taking. We're going to move to the live chat now. We'll take a few questions before we start wrapping this one up. Dave Goodyear, what's your best 3 behind Aller? His is Lanzini, Wiltshire and Anderson.
I've got to have Antonio in the team. I just have to. I don't know what the best 3 is. And Anderson's got to be in there as well. Maybe Lanzini. Yeah, well, that answers it, doesn't it? So, yeah, Anderson, Lanzini.
I wouldn't want 3. We need to play 4-3-3. I kept banging on about it last season, but if we start 4-2-3-1 against Watford, it's not too bad because they play 4-4-2, so they've only got 2 in the middle. But when we next play a team with 3 in the middle, we've only got 2 in there. I'm going to think, well, we've lost the battle in the middle of the pitch before the game's even kicked off. You're already up against it. So the 2 that I would like to see in behind Aller, as it stands, is Lanzini and Antonio because of form. If I had to put another one in there, it would also be Anderson. But that's just because we've not seen what Fornals can do, really. So there's nothing too much Darren Hutchinson, do you think we should play our new young striker, or Jetty?
I haven't seen him. I don't know. I'm sorry. Well, you can't now. Now Hernandez scored. That's it. He's in for. He's the one coming off the bench in the next game. That's it. I've got a feeling we will see him next Tuesday. But that's my worry. Yeah. I don't want to see him next Tuesday.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
Nothing ever gets learned. I said after the Wimbledon game, what we need to do is this feeling now. We need to take this and bottle it, and literally put the lid on, and then open it up right before we play our next cup game, which is now, and that is what an error it was.
Yeah, but
to not play Fabianski, to not start.
I think you've got a wrong assumption there, and that is the players care.
No, I know. I mean, bottle it for Pellegrini. You've almost got to take. Okay, when I say bottle it, I mean you've got to take the essence of why that defeat to Wimbledon happened, put it in a bottle so it's fresh, and then open it again on Tuesday.
I thought you meant
sorry, no, it's probably my fault. I didn't describe it very, very well. Just to remind them. And just to remind everybody that the reason we lost that game to Wimbledon is because the team we put out. We didn't play our first choice goalkeeper. Anderson came on and he changed the game, but Anderson didn't start. We thought we could brush them aside by putting our second choice 11 out. Well, at the moment, our first choice 11 ain't particularly clever. It could do with a time on a pitch. There's nothing to suggest our second choice 11 is going to be good. Should it be good enough to beat Newport County? Yes, it should, but the second 11 we put out against AFC Wimbledon should have been good enough to get past them as well. I do not want to see a Jetty. I want to see Sebastian Haller up front with Lanzini behind him, Antonio on the right and Anderson on the left, and I want to see Diop and Balbuena in the middle, and that's the sort of thing I want to see against them. So I don't know about a Jetty, how good he is. I'm hoping I don't find out just yet.
I'm surprised that Jetty didn't come on against Brighton. That disappointed me actually about Pellegrini. Out the season so far, that sub disappointed me the most, that he accepted a draw. And I know it's a draw away to Brighton is a good result. I'm not saying that. My point is, we were playing 4-4-2 and I thought it was a fair game. I thought it was end to end. I thought any team could have nicked it. And I just felt that sub, taking Hernandez off and putting on Sanchez, was Pellegrini saying, let's just take the draw, lads. And I thought, hang about. One of the reasons I didn't want David Moyes here is because he had this sort of attitude. And I just felt like putting on a fresh pair of legs in the attacking third would have been us going for it. Now, we might have lost the game, and we would have criticised Pellegrini for lost the game, of course, but you know something, we could have also just as well won it, because I thought when we were playing 4-4-2 in that second half, I thought we were playing alright. I thought we were playing quite good. So disappointing. You know something, I don't mind seeing a Jetty against Newport. I can get what you're saying, I can't disagree with it, but I do think you should be able to rotate 4 or 5 players and be good enough to win. And I don't think the reason we got beat by Wimbledon was because of who we played. It's because of how those players played. That's the reason why we lost, in my opinion. But we'll discuss that in the Newport preview. So if we play Eric, if we play 2 strikers, who will be the best complement to Haller? He thinks Antonio could be a good partner.
Oh, I wouldn't do that. No, I've got to say, actually, Hernandez, I'm pretty sure, would be. Actually, he thrived with free fries. He's just never had that, has he? I always thought he would make, if you could ever have got a run going with him and Andy Carroll, it would have been perfect. Actually, you look at the way Haller chests the ball off. He's constantly looking for somebody, lays it off. He's got a really good weight to pass to him as well. He would be constantly looking to find Chicharito, and Chicharito, as soon as that ball went into Haller, Chicharito would be thinking, right, this is going in somewhere here. This is, I'm going to be onto this. He would be expecting it. He'd be anticipating it. Actually, I think it'd be absolutely marvellous.
Yeah.
If a thing to behold, actually.
It'd be too, and we're going to talk about this in the preview tomorrow night for the Watford game, because I think Pellegrini's got a big call to make with Hernandez. It's as simple as that. He scored, so we'll talk about it tomorrow night. I would also play Hernandez because since he's been here, Hernandez has struggled because of the system. And if we played 4-4-2, it'd almost finally be playing the system for Hernandez. You can't not play Hernandez. You can't switch the one guy that's going to really benefit the most and not play him. You'd have to play Chicharito up there. But it does pose a question as to who you leave out. But so does this question, which is Forever Blown Bubbles says, if Reed was fully fit, would you like a back three of Reed, Diop and Balbuena and play wing backs? I think it would be good. I think it would be good for Masuaku and Fredericks, actually. But
I do actually think a back three is the cure to many of our ills. So if I'm hesitating and stalling, it's only because I'm not sure that particular composition of the back three is right. I mean, funny enough, you've just had apparently Pellegrini changed the centre-back pairing against Brighton because he wanted balance. He wanted a left footer in there. Now, that's what I heard anyway. Now, Reed actually traditionally does play left centre-back, but obviously he's not a left. I think you've got to be a lefty if you play on the left of a three, and if your left-sided wing back is weak defensively, I think that's going to be quite important. So I'm not sure about that, but I do agree with the ethos of moving to a three. I think it would allow us to do exactly what we've just spoken about with two strikers up front. I think you could do an awful lot of things with three at the back.
I don't like it because where would you play Lanzini? Because
I'll be honest, so.
Yeah, but naturally, if you play five at the back, you usually go 5-3-2, don't you? Yeah, you could go 5-4-1 and be creative with the midfielders. But if you're playing 5-3-2, where would Lanzini go? Where would Anderson go? Where would Fornals go? It just feels like we've got a lot of attacking midfielders, and I think you almost have to have attacking midfielders positions available. And if you go 5-3-2, you sort of remove them a little bit. And I just think that what you can get from Anderson, Fornals, and Lanzini and Antonio far outweighs what you could ever get from Masuaku and Fredericks being wing backs. So not for me. I don't want to see us switch to five at the back. It might help us defensively, but we're struggling to create chances as it is at the minute. I would like us to see what we'd be like removing at least one attacking midfielder to go through at the back. I think play four. By the way, that Pellegrini saying he put Ogbonna in for balance, come on, that's bollocks. That's a manager who dropped Balbuena, put Ogbonna in, and thought, I've made a mistake here. How can I cover this up a little bit? And rather than say I dropped Balbuena for a poor performance, he sort of thought, I'll just make up something about balance. It didn't come directly from Pellegrini, to be fair, but behave, leave it out, Pele, no chance. But anyway, we'll start wrapping up here. Gonzo, is there anything you'd like to chat about? We've been going for over an hour or so.
No, not that I can think of, mate.
You said there was nothing to talk about at the start of this video.
I said we'd get we'd extract every little bit of moisture out of the old flannel. But that's not actually a saying I've just made up. I don't think it'll go. It's not going to catch on, that one. It's not going to be a classic.
Yeah, it's been a good show actually. I enjoy a cup of tea. I always enjoy these, and sometimes something angers you during the week or something. There's one more question. I'll ask this one more question, so stick around for that. Sometimes,
yeah, sorry, I was just going to go. I've come back. Sorry, stick around. Stick around.
Something that might emotionally trigger you during the week about West Ham, and you get a bit, so you think, I can't wait for the next cup of tea to discuss this. That usually when it comes around, your emotions gone. You can dissect and discuss it a bit more maturely than you would if you were a bit pent up, but it's always enjoyable. Andy Walsh said, what do you think of the situation at Bury?
I tell you what, it really annoys me. It really annoys me. Not just for what's happened at Bury, but the fella has been on the radio, the guy that bought it, and he said today that the problems that Bury has, he inherited, and they let it go. They let it go, and he spoke. And I thought, hey, hold on, you're letting him get away with being tricksy with his language, because inherited suggests that you have been bequeathed. Yeah, it suggests that someone's handed it down to you. So it's like someone giving you an old car, and handed it down to you. You know, so you inherit an old car and it keeps on breaking down, and I say, oh, why'd you buy that car? Oh, I didn't buy it. Literally, it got handed down to me, and I didn't know anything about it. The gearbox is broken. It's all broken. He didn't inherit this. There's no way. There is some diligence involved. There is some scrutiny of the accounting books. There is no way that all of the situation that they're in was unbeknown to him when he bought into the club. You just can't do it. When you're signing the documents, it's not on the back of a fag packet or anything like that. When you're pushing these deals through, you have to have some knowledge of the situation. And I was absolutely... I was actually almost... Well, I wasn't shouting, but I fancied shouting at the radio. It said, do not let him get away with inherited. Don't pick him up on those words. That's not right. Because it was just utter nonsense and drivel that he was being spouted. I feel so sorry, and I saw a picture today of a coffin outside the ground, and they put R.I.P. Berry. The fans, the fans have lost their everything. This is what we do, and we're jumping on this, and everybody's joining for a cup of tea, and we're getting ready to do our video, and everyone's putting their questions in, and everyone's working out what they're doing on Tuesday for the Newport game, and getting ready to go to the game on Saturday, and your whole routine. Saturdays are gone for these people. There's no more equivalent of Burnley cup of tea or Burnley podcast or Berry podcast. Bolton are not in much better shape either. This is proper. It's almost gone past jobs now as well. This is what would you do? What would you do if you follow a team all your life and all of a sudden your Saturdays are just empty? You know, what was your routine at a weekend? I know people probably look at non-sports fans and think, actually, that's pathetic. What do you mean? What would you do with a Saturday? But it is a real thing. You know, it's a real situation there that affects people, and I just think it's shameful that some charlatan can come in, take over a club, and all these people are custodians of a club, and then see it go into liquidation, non-existence. So it literally doesn't exist anymore. I think it's a crazy situation.
Yeah, I can only echo what you said. Really, it's horrible. I think someone will come in and buy the club before Friday. I think it's in too good a position in order to just let it go to dust. But I think it's like the debts or something is about 8 million or something. It's a lot of money in order to take it up to ground zero, if you like. A horrible situation. Same with Bolton. You just have to look at that and you think, what on earth is going on with these football clubs? But for what would happen to the Bury fans, they would find another club. It would probably be Bury AFC or something. It would start up. There'd be a knock-on effect. It's too big a club to just disappear off the face of the earth and stuff. But it's a shame, really. You know, I've seen that clip of that 74-year-old Bury fan who'd been going all his life. He was in tears talking about what's happening to his football club. Like I said, 74 years he's been going to games. He's everything. The amount of time and money and emotion you invest in a football club, it's different. Football's a very, very unique thing, I think.
Well, that for someone like that, Geo, sorry to interrupt. That actually, things like that keep. There's just no nice way of saying it. Keep people at that age going. You know, routine. It's all about routine and having a routine and having something to crack on for and looking forward to the next thing and looking forward to the next stage. Honestly, something like that would finish him off.
I think it's different. I think it's different as well for lower league clubs because there is so much West Ham stuff. You can be entertained Monday to Friday on World of West Ham YouTube, and then you can watch a game on Saturday from anywhere in the world. You can't do that if you're a Bury fan. You've got to attend the games and stuff, and it's a lot more of a community aspect to it if you're a Bury fan. You've got to search for your news probably, and there's probably not that many. There's probably only one Bury podcast if there is one, and it's probably maybe just be one guy in his bedroom with the microphones for an hour, and you look forward to it because you don't have a lot of selection. West Ham fans and other Premier League clubs have got lots of channels to choose from. You listen to who you want to listen to. You don't have to listen to the others. But you're a Bury, you probably only got one guy, and it's that or nothing. It's just a very sad situation, but I do think I'd be surprised if it's allowed to go completely kaput. I'll be surprised no one steps in.
Good question, Andy. Good question.
Yeah, man. Strange one to answer end the show on. But anyway, Gonzo, is there anything you'd like to add?
No. That's covered. That's covered it. We no, that's it, mate.
Lots of content coming up in the next week. Tomorrow night on this channel, we've got our Watford preview. Saturday, Watford review. Sunday, Newport preview. Tuesday, we might be doing a watch along. We'll keep you updated on that. I'm going to try and do a watch along of some sort, so keep your eye on that. Tuesday night we'll have the review after the game as well, and then Thursday we'll be back to the Norwich preview, and then we'll be going to the game against Norwich. I'm waiting to pick a winner for our Norwich Twitter competition, but the Man United ticket, we'll be giving away a ticket for the Man United game on this channel in a couple of weeks, so come check back. It's free to enter, and someone's going to be joining us for a beer at the Man United game, just like we're going to be doing for every home game this season. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. If you could do us a favour, share this video on your social media if you enjoyed it. Tell people, come along to the channel, because like you guys can't grow really, so thank you very much. And a massive thank you to Darren Clarkson for donating the money he did. That's been... I can never get this the right way around anyway. That's been Gonzo, I've been Geo, we've been Hammers Chat. Gonzo, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye for me as well. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Cup of Tea, where we discuss Manuel Lanzini, Karren Brady, and took lots of questions from the live chat and our followers on social media. We'll be back tomorrow night with our preview for the Watford game, and in a couple of weeks for the next edition of Cup of Tea. Join us then.